Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Mouse Minds here, live for you on all your favorite streaming platforms: Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, all those glorious places. Of course, on the Facebook Mouse Minds Facebook page and all over the net today. We are streaming for you live. I apologize in advance. I've been dealing with migraines all day today, like really bad. So if you see me like smelling essential oils because my head is still throbbing. But we are here for you live today on the show. I am joined by Michael. Hello, Michael.
I am here. I'm just trying to update Facebook so I can get a title on here and good to go.
There we go. And we have we have an interesting topic for this week, as you can see on the screen here. We have an interesting topic here for this week's show. Now, as many of you know, the parks are constantly evolving. They're constantly changing. They're constantly, evolving into something different. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the Walt quote about the parks changing. Um, they're constantly evolving. Let's see here. Yeah, Disneyland will never be completed. It will continue to grow as long as there's imagination left in the world. The same applies to all the parks around the Disney parks. We're constantly getting new things in and out. And we decided to talk about Epcot a little bit here because Epcot's gone through some pretty substantial changes, I would say, in the last little bit here. We've noticed a lot with Epcot as far as different the whole, I say, ecosystem of Future World. The main area of Future World has changed tremendously in the last couple of years here, especially with the new things that they've done here with CommuniCore Hall and World Showplace and things like that. And it's interesting. It's interesting. And we it's you can find, I mean, when when me and Michael were discussing doing this topic, Michael was like, "Oh, so we're going to spend a whole hour bashing Epcot." And I mean, there are some things that I do like. I'm not going to say it's all negative, but there are a lot of things that are negative as well when it comes to this here. So yeah, it's an interesting topic. It's an interesting topic. I mean, I guess I'll go ahead and sort of kick things off because Epcot is always will always be to me the greatest park ever, the greatest theme park ever, for so many reasons. I mean, between the history of growing up, going to Epcot, to the just I don't even know how to describe it. Just the festivals and all the good time. I've had so many memorable experiences at Epcot. I mean, I could list off. It would take me all day to list off all the excellent times I've had at Epcot, between when I was a child and riding Horizons to seeing partying on New Year's Eve at Epcot, throughout the years. There's so many amazing experiences that have happened at Epcot. And what Epcot used to be with its CommuniCore, the way that it was, it had the kind of showplace for future technology in the middle there, and what it's kind of turned into now is complete variation. We went from rides that have sponsors that are showcasing future technology and future things to rides and attractions based off of Disney IPs. We have the new Moana attraction. We have Seas. We have Ratatouille. We have um, the Frozen Ever After ride, Frozen ride. We have all kinds of things inside Epcot that are now not what the original vision. Well, I should say the second original vision of Epcot was, because the original vision was a city, but we got this second version, which was more of a, I would call it more of a World's Fair, sort of a showcase of what's to come, and having all these different companies showcase their different technologies. And I do, and please note going into this that I do realize that sponsorships don't really need to be a thing anymore. We have YouTube, we have influencers, we have all these things that different ways to promote your product that are not a very expensive ride at Epcot or a very expensive display or attraction at Epcot. I completely understand that 100%. But I do feel that Epcot has lost its way a little bit, and sort of that futuristic vibe that we had. Even if, I mean, I don't know. I try to think about what I would like to see at Epcot. What would be something that I would change if I was going to change Epcot and make it more like the original Epcot that I love so much. And it's hard for me to think of, because I just don't think that. I think that CommuniCore place would be a great place to have some sort of exhibits or something, future technology. I don't know what that would look like. They do a great job over at Test Track with the cars and everything else like that. Maybe they could do something inside CommuniCore Place. I I don't know. Our is it CommuniCore Place or Hall? I don't remember. But my brain is all over the place right now. But what we had. All I'm saying is what we had before and what we have now are two completely different things. I do feel I am on the. There are people that are on this bandwagon that IPs don't belong, and Disney IPs don't belong in Epcot. I, I understand why they're there, but I kind of feel the same way too. I wish we had, especially in World Showcase, I wish the attractions that we had in those lands were more heavily themed towards those countries. It would be nice to have maybe something in France. I know we have the Ratatouille ride, but maybe a tour through Paris or something, or a tour on the Seine River, or maybe we go. Look at Mexico, maybe something. I think that would fit more the cultural aspect of it, because I feel like Epcot has a great opportunity to really express that culture. But I think two things. I think number one, a lot of the culture that is in Epcot is stuck in years back. It's yes, there is a lot of history there and things like that, and but how they represent the countries now, I don't think truly represents how they are in this present day. I don't know if
But
you
I
would
don't even
agree
know
with
if
that,
people need
Michael.
to go present day for something like that necessarily. You want to see Mexico, you travel to Mexico. To
True.
me, that ride blends enough of and let's face it, as I've said, a lot of people visiting Disney are going to go to their graves having only seen Disney in their own hometown. They're never actually going to go to Mexico.
Of course.
So for them,
How are they gonna
whatever
know?
Disney says Mexico is must be what Mexico is. So by riding that ride, to me, you're getting enough of a blend of the characters and
True.
Mexico, enough for people to say, okay, I feel like I've been to Mexico.
True. Very true. I think it is a nice blend, don't get me wrong. I do think it is a nice blend. I don't know, it's just I mean, I wish I loved El Rio del Tempo. I loved that. I mean, it was so like Mexico. The guys chasing you down with the items,
Hmm.
trying to sell you stuff. That's Mexico, and I think that I I don't know. I just feel like the characters don't fit into that as much. I don't think it blends well. Frozen is just a Frozen ride. What does that have to do with Norway? Other than the fact that Norway gets cold? Like I don't see it. I mean, Ratatouille, yes. The movie was shot in France, and it's made in France, so okay. I'll give him that one. But I mean, I don't know. I'd much rather see something. I mean, I guess they do have the movie in France still.
Right.
So
If you,
that's a
yeah,
nice
even that you
that's
see it
nice.
once, you're good. Then they have the Beauty and the Beast. They at least they mix it up, so folks that want to see characters can see
Mhm.
characters.
Yep.
The reason I don't have a problem with the Mexico ride is for the same reason that we don't have a problem with the Ratatouille ride. It's not that they took Donald,
True.
gave him a sombrero, and invented two characters. You know,
they were already
Yeah, the
there.
three
Yes, that's
caballeros
true.
were
Okay.
already established as a group, whether you remember them or not from the old
Yeah.
shows. It doesn't matter. They're there, and now they've been reintroduced. Heck, they had those animatronics in storage from the old Mickey Mouse review. Like, hey, we can
Yes.
dust these off and do something with them. These are the ones they didn't send overseas.
Yep.
So I guess they didn't
100%.
care about Donald and
Poor Donald. No
yeah.
one cares about Donald.
So they, yeah, well, yeah, and Donald's got some. We don't need that. So it's not going to work overseas. But Mickey in a tux, in a band leader's outfit, and um, all the other characters, sure. So those they sent. A couple they retained here, not necessarily, but maybe they did. Maybe they said, "Hey, one day we might be able to work these into the Mexico pavilion, throw them in a box."
Very true. Very true.
It's not like they created or shoehorned something in. I have less issue about shoehorning characters into the countries where they belong, and more of an issue of shoehorning characters, not the character meet and greet. You want to put Pluto out front and give the little kids something to do, because once the little kids make it past Pluto, it is boredom city until they get all the way back around and come out toward Pluto again. Maybe you're going to go watch Nemo. Maybe you see Figment. It's not a park designed for kids. So you need to put more kid-based things. I remember
That
being a child and going
that's
there
true.
and hating life back there. It was hot. There was nothing to do.
Oh.
Where are the rides? Even now, we take my
That
nephew and he's walking around going, "Can we go back on a ride?" Like, there's no ride. We left Mexico and we're on our way to America. There's nothing to do between here and
well,
there.
I get that. Trust me, I get that. I hear the same thing from my daughter. Where are the rides? We never go on any rides, and it's true. When we go to Epcot, you know, the amount of rides in World Showcase, especially if there's a festival going on, is not something that really happens too much because of the fact that um we we yeah. It's one of those things where, like, yes, we the rides that are there are so they're just the lines are so busy
Yep.
that we just skip it.
That's
So
the other
yes,
problem. I mean, I'll walk past Norway because I'm looking at the line. I'm like, there's no way. It's not that great an attraction. Hey, and we
yeah,
just had this week had the anniversary of the closing of Maelstrom.
I just saw that. I just saw that. That was yeah, that was something. That was something. I was saddened by that one. That was something. It was yeah. I I enjoyed the Maelstrom ride. Don't get me wrong. The Maelstrom ride was, it definitely fit the area very well. It was a nice. It fit the theme of Norway, and of course you had all the different. You had like the oil scene at the beginning when you entered the ride, so on and so forth. So things like that. So yes, I do agree that that was something that fit very well. And Frozen just doesn't fit for me. But again, I get it. You got to keep people, excited about the World Showcase, and it's hard to do when there is not that many rides going on there, and there were supposed to be more rides inside
Yeah.
World Showcase. We never got lucky enough for those.
No, and in some cases, the country, the host country, and as you were pointing out before, there some of it's about promoting products, but from
Yeah,
Disney's point of view, it's more about finding someone else to foot the bill. Which is why
exactly.
they approach the country. Hey, you want to be
That's
part of this? Fantastic. Send us some stuff
and that's
and
and that's
send us lots of money.
why and that's why the Morocco Pavilion is the way it is right now,
Yep.
is because it had a host, which was the country of Morocco, like their tourism board, and now they don't own that. They gave that back to Disney, and it just from then on, it's just been not much go. I mean, they still have one of the restaurants because of the fact that um you know that restaurant was already there, and of course it's run by a third party. But the
Yep.
restaurant Marrakesh did, in fact, go away, and you know, um, that's because of the them losing that sponsorship from the country. So yeah, it's World Showcases. You're right; it can get a little boring. I enjoy it because it's like traveling around the world. You go to the different countries, you go to the different shops, especially if you go in like the back of China there, where they have that giant store where they just sell everything. Um, there's a lot of different areas back there that you can explore, nooks and crannies. So I still do enjoy it. I just wish the attractions were more. I mean, I guess they still have the China film and things like that. So there are stuff there.
China film, but again, that's something I've done once, and I
Yeah.
don't think I need to go back there. The shop is amazing. There's nothing in there I need, but in that one in Japan, they've done a really great job. And when you walk in there, you do get that feel that you are in China. Talking about shops, I'm sure China. There's enough variety in there, and you have enough people that collect Chinese art, and you can T-shirts and anime. So you will get people that will purchase some of that stuff. And you go to England, and you've got the candy and the teas. I'm pretty sure they have sold more Olaf and Sven plush
Hmm.
than they ever have Sherpa boots and troll dollars. I mean, I walk in that shop. I'm like, holy Christmas! This stuff is still here from when I was young.
Oh my god.
No one's buying this nonsense. No one's. I don't know if people are leaving with maple syrup.
Oh my gosh,
Can
that's
you get that
funny.
past secured? Probably not. You got to put it in your check and hope it doesn't
That's
shatter.
hilarious. Sherpa boots.
But that's the garbage that they're
Wow.
trying to push. So some of it I'm sure is marketing. How do we boost sales? Hey, you know what? People seem to like that Frozen bit. Let's throw it in there. So,
Yeah,
and
I
so
mean,
again,
I
I'm
get
cool
it.
with putting that
Sorry, but
back there for me.
yeah,
We'll look at Future World, and I'll go off on that, in my opinion. But
I mean,
yeah, I mean,
But
you have
Future
to do
World,
something. Otherwise, if you don't make these changes, France is just going to sit there. And they
true,
finally tried to update the film a little bit, but you got people walking around in 1980s dungarees and
true,
T-shirts and all this
true,
other insanity.
very true,
You know, bring it up to date
very true.
where possible. It's not like some communist country where we can't get in there and shoot stuff.
Yeah,
From the China film.
yeah,
You Canada, they kind of fixed that up a little
yeah.
bit
They
because
did. They changed out the
these
the
attractions are
thing for that, and did all the stuff for that, and they added the new song at the end, and then they added Martin Short and all that. But they
the
did use a lot
music,
of clips
update
from
the
the
visuals.
original attraction too. They just modernized them because they don't use that circle vision camera, or they didn't shoot new footage with the circle vision camera, and of course it's a circle vision theater. I don't remember why they didn't shoot with the circle vision camera. I just don't think it's something that they really have access to anymore. But But yeah, I mean, I get why they didn't. They made the changes to that they did, and they were trying to work within the parameters of having that Circle Vision theater, which of course is the Circle Vision theater is amazing. If you've never seen a Circle Vision movie, I'd suggest going. But you're right, the movies are kind of boring. I don't know. I I guess I mean maybe you're swaying my opinion here. Maybe the characters need to be there just to keep people interested. I don't know. It to me it's one of those things where it's like I just don't know. Um but Future World on the other hand, I mean, I do feel like it could be a center for future technologies, things like conservation, things like, you know, traveling to space, things like I mean, there's so many things it could be. It's just such a mix of things in Future World, and I just feel like a lot of attractions in Future World, just because they don't have sponsors, are never going to get any updates from what they were, and they're just going to be continue to be the same thing forever until someone decides to go in and Disney decides to go in and update these attractions. And like Test Track consistently gets updates because of its sponsorship with GM, and it looks amazing. But what about something like a like Spaceship Earth, which is one of the most ridden attractions out of all the parks because it's right at the entrance there. It's time to update some of these attractions in there. I mean, I'm just afraid that with these attractions, because of the fact that there are no sponsors, they're going to go to these character type attractions or IP attractions.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
I mean, I don't know. Like, I hope that that's not the case, because of the fact that I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking from a nostalgia a standpoint. Maybe I'm just used to growing up with Spaceship Earth being about communication and the history of communication and everything else. But I just don't feel like I I'm one of those people. I'll admit it. I feel like the IPs and the characters all belong at Hollywood Studios, all belong at Magic Kingdom.
yeah.
They can go to both of those places, have at it, have all the fun you want, but leave Epcot alone. But I get why, I mean, Epcot is you have the festivals for the adults, and then you have the the character attractions for the kids. I mean, and things like Test Track and things like that, thrilling rides there as well to get people interested as well. But like, you do have amazing attractions there as well, such as things like Figment, Journey into Imagination. Figment is an amazing IP that they can absolutely, that's been in Epcot forever. No one will blink an eye if you do something with Figment. They would be so excited if they did something with that attraction, and yet they haven't done it. It feels like it's been snubbed a million times.
Hmm.
Like that is one that like whenever they have Figment popcorn buckets or anything Figment merchandise related, the lines to purchase the stuff is insane. So why
The one place you don't have a line for Figment is at the attraction.
exactly?
That's an easy walk in, and 5 minute wait, and you realize that the 5 minutes is just the time it takes to walk from
Yep,
the front into the attraction. If it backs up a little bit, that's just because they're waiting for the next round of cars.
yep,
Nobody's back there anymore.
yeah,
I don't know if, and as you said, people are buying Figment merchandise anyway.
yeah.
So do I need to spend millions of dollars to update this ride if it's not going to sell more merch? I don't know.
Well, I think they need to
You know,
update the ride because of the fact that I think that the reason why Figment merch sells as much as it does is because they had a generation of people who loved Figment, grew up with Figment,
yep,
and the Dreamfinders, such as myself. And these are the ones that are buying the Figment merchandise. They're buying
yeah.
it for nostalgia reasons. And I do think they need to update it because eventually they're going to hit a wall. And maybe they know this, where the newer generation is not going to be interested in Figment as much as this generation is. And they're going to, they're going to be like, what the heck? I don't, I don't want Figment. I don't have really any interest in him. And I think that
Right.
is, unless they update the ride and make it something that is memorable instead of what it is now, which is just a shill of early 2000s technology. I mean, it's not going to change that.
Right. And they had their chance when they announced all the changes to Epcot, and I don't think that one was on the board for any kind of update
Nope.
or refurb. Even the Spaceship Earth refurb that's going on now, they say is just
Yeah.
cosmetic,
Well, they
which is good because they're not going to shut it down for years to put in any kind of new scenes or new story. Um,
true, but
to take out a major
they need
attraction,
to add
that's
more stuff.
one less thing to do. I guess you had that while they were redoing Test Track. Um,
But Test Track is a great
that's bringing riders
the
back
new Test Track is a
new
great
again.
example of how you can incorporate new technology and still create something
Right.
that's fun and exciting. There that whole bit about um the um the self-driving cars and lidar and all that stuff, that's awesome. Like that is something that is relevant. People are talking about that. That is the future of cars. And we've been talking about self-driving cars forever. Why not, as some people may think it's crazy, but why not include in Spaceship Earth something about the emerging technology that is artificial intelligence? Why are we not talking about these things in Future World? It's literally called
Sure.
Future World, and we're not talking about these things in Future World. We're talking about how we're going to get to space with Mission Space. We're talking about the future of gardens. How are we not incorporating that? And it's such a hot button thing right now that I think any attraction that mentions that would have some sort of popularity just for the fact that it mentions that and has that on there and people can relate to that. So I think these are things that they could add because, I mean, the ride for our Spaceship Earth, I mean, you basically get to the final scene where you talk about personal computing and then that's it. And then you do this whole thing with the screen and then you figure out what your future is going to look like. Like a lot of that stuff that's in that future scene, we're working on now. Like they could talk about some of that stuff or add that stuff to the ride. Epcot kind of feels like that scene in Carousel Progress when you get to the end of Carousel Progress and it's like they're talking about virtual reality and all this voice acting and it's like yeah, we've had that stuff for a while and like why hasn't this scene been updated? So it just feels outdated. The park itself feels outdated. Even rides like Listen to the Land, um, or Living with the Land, that whole thing just feels outdated. And Seas, I mean, Seas is just a giant aquarium that's themed towards,
Yep.
uh, the seas, which is okay, but throwing some stuff in there about conservation or whatever else, like just throwing a couple things here and there and like let's go. Like I don't know. I just feel like they could do so much more. And then of course we got the new World Showplace area, which
Hmm.
we got rid of the old one of the old CommuniCore buildings. We still have basically the other side, but we got rid of the
Right.
other side. And it's fine. Like those buildings weren't being used for anything. There's still like that space back there, kind of behind connections there, where there's not really anything in there too. That used to be where they had like the paint exhibit and all that stuff back there, and used to have some of All Thrills and all that, and that's fine. Like I get those exhibits. They weren't really doing anything, and they were kind of just and that whole the other side of CommuniCore was more of a character meet and greet than anything else. It didn't really do anything. But I feel like that whole area they just made like a pretty like sit down area and there's no
Yeah.
substance to that whatsoever. And then you look at like the Moana attraction, and it's fun, but it's like one of those things. It's like, okay, this is it. Like you just walk through, and I mean, I guess it's fun for children. I don't know, but I don't see people like consistently wanting to go. Like they're not going to Epcot for Moana. It's just something
Right.
there. But the World Showplace,
And there's no line like there used to be. They had the
no,
stanchions up because it was going to be brand new. They realized you don't need a line for this.
yeah,
This is just you walk through, you would visit the wet sidewalk, and you leave.
exactly.
And it's between that and you look, you have and at least Guardians aren't true Disney characters. I had a small issue with that. I'm glad they didn't try to shoehorn it into the Tower of Terror like they had to do in California. Does the ride belong in Epcot? I don't know, especially since you already have a space ride directly next door to it. But maybe they just didn't have the space. I had a problem with Pandora being shoehorned into Animal Kingdom, but the way they did it
Was good.
kind of works. And
Yeah.
I don't, unless you're on
But
one of the rides, get out on
but
Pandora.
here's the thing though. The
It's just
Pandora
fake
thing,
fake trees next to the real
but the
trees. So
pan
it's not
but the Pandora thing fits in Animal Kingdom because it has a conservation theme. That movie is like a lot of that is about conserving their planet, which fits into
sure.
that Animal Kingdom theme. So that makes sense. Like you're right, I didn't even think of Guardians. Like Guardians just doesn't it's just it does feel shoehorned in because it's just a attraction. I mean, it's just putting in your IP and I mean, Guardians is a fantastic ride. I
It's a
love
great
Guardians.
ride. It's just, would it work without the characters? I don't know. It could. You'd have to come up with some kind of a story,
Yeah.
but again, it could have worked elsewhere.
But the other
Um,
thing,
and
you're right. It could have worked elsewhere. It could have worked at like Hollywood Studios. I mean, it would have been
mhm.
perfect there. But
You can't put everything in Hollywood Studios
agreed.
either.
Put some things in Magic Kingdom then. I mean, I don't know. Like you could have put it in Tomorrowland and it would have fit in Tomorrowland.
It's a huge show building, though.
That's true, but you still could have. They
That's
could have
part of the
found
problem.
space. They could have. I mean, they put
Yep.
Tron in there, so they could find space.
Right.
But
Is Tron as large as? I don't even know the footprint, but it's nothing that you could have shoehorned into the old Stitch space.
no, gosh, no,
That
no
needs to be
way,
something small and
no way.
self-contained. That's
Yeah,
going to unfortunately become another
Stitch
show.
is tiny.
Yeah, it's a very tiny
Yeah,
space. The Monsters Inc., which people still visit that. I have no idea.
I visited
Tiny
that
space.
recently.
Hmm.
I like that show actually. I enjoy Monsters Inc. But that's a topic for another show. But I really do enjoy Monsters Inc. It's one of my favorites.
So
It's hilarious
the
and
other
it's good.
problem I have now with Epcot.
Well, the thing. Go ahead.
Am I moving on your screen? Because I'm frozen
Yeah,
on my screen.
you're
You're
frozen
moving.
on my screen too.
What the
I don't
heck?
know. But just I can hear you,
Why
so
am I
just
not?
continue talking.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I'm sitting here looking like I'm
His
praying for
arms
the
are flailing in the
people mover
air
to
as
keep
he's
moving.
talking about as he's
But why
venting
is
his
my
frustration about
I don't know what the heck's going on.
Epcot.
Very odd.
For those of you that are listening
Uh,
live on the podcast or listening on the podcast, he's flailing his arms in the air like a wacky one of those flailing guys you see in front of a car dealership because he's so distraught about Epcot.
what's going on? This is very strange.
But
I'm
going
We're back to Frozen.
but I can still hear you, so it's
Just
good.
turn off the video.
But going
Yeah,
back,
good. Well,
but going back to
so my problem with things with Epcot, and they spent a lot of money bothering to come up with this whole, and I'm doing air quotes that you can't see because my video's not moving. This whole neighborhood thing.
mhm,
Neighborhoods have not brought in a single guest.
mhm,
It has done nothing to enhance the guest
mhm,
experience. It's not like, hey, they added a new nighttime parade to Magic Kingdom. We need to go.
mhm,
Hey, I heard they built neighborhoods in Epcot.
mhm,
We need to go. Said no one ever.
mhm,
So changing out the pavilion idea to these neighborhoods,
mhm.
I still don't get it. I've never told anyone, hey, let's go over to World Celebration
Listen,
and check that.
If you
I'm
go,
going over to the land. I'm
listen,
not going over to World Discovery and all this other
I'll
garbage.
tell you
It
this.
does nothing to build identity, which is where we started
I, I'll
this,
tell
in
I'll
Epcot.
tell you this. If you go to any like I hate to say this, but this is what I think of it. If you go to any like I'm trying to think of the brand here. Like a oh my gosh, what is it? Like a I can't think of the brand name, but if you go to like a hotel, um hold on, let me look this up.
Try
So
it.
if you go to
Go ahead.
like a suite hotel, like a Homewood Suites or like a Home Two Suites or something like that, and you go to an outdoor their outdoor like space where they have like a grill and like outdoor patio and they have the lights strung across and so on and so forth. That's what that World Showplace area feels like. I hate to say that, but it does. It feels like that just like I don't know how to describe it. It feels like that just like not I wouldn't say budget, but like it just feels like that like level of quality. It's not like it's not like the most amazing thing ever. It's just a bunch of like lounge chairs outside there in the middle of like a field, like an area with like concrete and then like trees or like plants and then
Hmm.
that's it. It feels like the same thing that you would get if you went to like a Home Two Suites or something and they had an outdoor patio with the
Yeah,
lights shown across it. It looks just like that. I mean, and I hate to
it's
say that. Maybe and like maybe your regular like run of the mill guest doesn't care about that type of thing, but then again, like that's a lot of space that they took up just to put in all that seating stuff. And to be quite honest with you, I never really see anyone using it.
no.
Like I
I
go
think
by there all the time
yeah.
and there's always seats available. And I get it. Like they want to do that for the festivals. They want to have seating for the festivals. But it's just, I don't know. It looks kind of tacky to me.
And that's my point. The vision they had and why somebody greenlit that project with the money doesn't make any sense. Because again, if it's coming down to enhancing the guest experience, bringing in new guests, or bringing folks back that stopped coming, none of this is it.
Yeah.
Uh, it seems like the whack jobs out in California love a dance party. I'm not buying a ticket to Disneyland to go to a dumb dance party. Yet those
Oh, I
West
like
Coast
the dance
people, we're
parties.
going to go to a dance party. Great. Go enjoy your dance party. Do we need to have a dance party outside when you have another dance party inside most of the time, unless there's
Oh,
exhibit?
that I do agree with.
That doesn't need. And the fact that you're trying to, it's not even like a generic. They've gone heavy, or they did with the Bruno and what's that movie there?
Yeah,
The
Encanto.
Encanto. It didn't
Yes.
need to be that ethnic to me, because ethnic is the other side of the water. Start with Mexico and go there. That's where you build it in. This just, I mean, if you want to do something, I don't know if a dance party is it. You're not bringing in money. You're not selling anything. You got little kids dancing to the Macarena or God knows what else they're doing. I've never bought a ticket to Epcot to go to a dance party. Not even during the after hours events. Again, they got to give something for the kids, because if the kids don't make it past there, at least they had fun. But that's the last memory they have before they start walking around that long mile trek around the water. Uh,
Yeah.
so it's something.
I
I'd
get the
rather go
dance
inside
party.
dance with Goofy.
It's a great way to like uh, it's a great way to do something fun and interactive and they can use that stage for other stuff. I kind of I understand that to an extent, but what I don't understand is I guess before it was what it is now. It really was just the fountain there. It was the giant fountain, which honestly the giant fountain was like really classy. I was kind of shocked when they got rid of the giant fountain because that was a pretty big part of of Future World and they poured water in there from all the countries from all across the world, that they have in World Showcase. Like there's a lot of cool history with that, and that was a nice fountain. It was enjoyable, like to just hang. And they could have tried to put seating around that or something and done something with that. Instead, they got rid of that completely, and then they put in all this. And the other thing is too, like I feel like I don't know. I just feel like it's not the same. I don't know, but
It's
again,
it's not the same, but and yeah, the problem that I had with the water, I think the lore, the LORE, was lost a few years after that. Yeah, yeah, everybody poured the water in, but nobody, you can't go to the fountain even 2 days later and look and say, "Oh, I think there's water there from Morocco." It's
yeah,
just in
true,
there, then it rains and the water evaporates, and then it's just filled.
true, true.
So
This is true,
the history
but the
got
story is
lost
good.
very quickly. However, as silly as it was, you still had people waiting for the show and standing there and watching the dancing water
Yeah,
and enjoying the music,
yeah,
and they would watch the show.
yeah,
Now the closest thing you have is the leaping water, and
yeah.
that's cute for a couple of seconds, and then you leave that. I don't know where that water came from, but I don't care if that's a mix of German and English water. Um, but yeah, I mean the fountain they had to go. At least they brought back the pylons on the front and the flags, and they're doing what they can to retain some of the history. I think in the reimagining, I think it as a big miss. Um, Outside of the Central Park that
It
they
just
put
feels
in there, and the
incomplete.
statue of Walt that nobody goes to visit anymore.
It absolutely feels like they just they had grand plans, and then they kind of lost funding about halfway through, and then they ran over budget, and they just had to make do with what they had, which is had, because it's such a big part. I mean, Epcot just feels so segmented right now. There's like the old stuff and the new stuff, and you can really like tell the difference. And it feels like you have two segments of that park. You have stuff that have been there forever that are just really old, like the Figment attraction, which hasn't been updated since I don't know when. And then and then you have like the newer stuff like Guardians. It's such a contrast in there. That's, I think, the part that is interesting about that. And then you have buildings like the Land Pavilion, which could use some. I've seen it could definitely use some work. Just some, I wouldn't say cleanup, but renovations, just fixing it up. I mean, I've seen water leaking from the dome and when it rains in the garden area. When you go in the greenhouse, things like that. Like it needs a little like fixing up. Like, but I mean, they do have some great bones there. They can have some amazing stuff in those areas. They just need to fix. And then, what are we ever gonna do with the Wonders of Life Pavilion? What is ever gonna happen with that? We were supposed to get a play pavilion. It was gonna be a whole thing, which honestly I was okay with, even though it was not like the most exciting thing in the world. I was still okay with it because that building was going to be used again, and it
Yep.
was going to be something interesting. But now it just sits there, and it's like this abandoned building in the back that is never going to be anything. I mean, at this point, you might as well just tear it down and build a brand new attraction and just let that be the attraction. It seems like a lot of wasted space.
It's funny as you're bringing that up. One of our listeners who's live on the Facebook right now just brought up Wonders of Life.
Yeah.
Saying Wonders of Life, anyone, and even he referenced the Play Pavilion, and I think, and as you said, and I'm sure listener Joe would agree. I It's an unfortunate victim of budget cuts. We had COVID, a lot of
Well,
money was allocated elsewhere, and and I remember standing there inside the Odyssey, watching that amazing presentation of everything that was coming that never came,
mm-hmm,
and the colors in the whole room changed, and then the different
mm-hmm.
areas would light up, and the color otherwise was just a big white. And this is all this. They would have been better off not showing that. Or maybe enough people didn't see it, but somebody who did see it is now looking at it going, holy Christmas, we lost out on a lot of stuff that would have been cool to
Hmm.
have. And the fact that you decided to tout it and then not give it to
Uh-oh,
us.
where did Michael go?
Where did Michael go? Is he gone again?
There he is. He's
All
here.
right. Uh, you touted this and then you decided not to get it. You got egg on your face. And you have a company, Universal said, look, this is what we're going to build for Epic Universe. And they delivered, I want to say on 100%. I don't know if we missed a couple of things, but they didn't overpromise, underdeliver, as Disney seems to do time and time again. I think they get their kicks out of making these announcements and going out there and even if they have nothing else to say, they're just
Well,
putting out all the stuff that
they
all the blue sky projects. Don't announce it if you're
not
not
they're
ready,
not
and make
doing that
sure you're
anymore.
going to go with it before you make these announcements.
That is true. Back in the day when the Epcot announcements were announced, that definitely was a thing. Now they're already like boots in the ground projects. They're only announcing things that are out of the blue sky phase. So thankfully we have that now. But there was a time, yes, when they were doing that. And luckily that has since stopped. Because we are, seeing a lot of progress with the new Piston Peak attraction. Um, does it even? I don't even know if it has a name at this point, but the new attraction that's coming to um, Magic Kingdom. Have
Right.
we gotten? I don't know if we got a name for that or
I
not.
thought
I,
they
I just
did,
know
but
Piston Peak.
that's something that they're going to need to finish because you can't make those announcements. And then, to me, I mean that seems a little more concrete, and I guess because they have drained and they have a vision. I think they have more of a vision there than they do for the
Hmm.
villains area, which to me still seems super blue sky right now. They have an idea.
Uh-oh, we lost Michael. Yeah, I agree with Michael. Announcing these things when they're in their blue sky phase is just one of those things that it's like, come on. Like, but luckily they've stopped that and they've acknowledged that that was a thing, and they have to be more pertinent and announcing those things, and only announcing them if they're boots in the ground. They're like, and like I believe that's the exact phrase they use, boots in the ground, working on them as we speak. So that's a big deal. So that's a big deal for them to be doing that. So kudos to them for uh being more talking about projects that are further along than quality over quantity, I guess you could say, when it comes to that. I'm gonna see Michael has left. Up here he comes back. There's Michael.
Um,
All right.
yep.
So yeah, so what I was saying is more quality over quantity in the last like parks panel, and in the parks panels they've been talking about more things that are already being worked on than stuff that's kind of like a blue sky phase, which is awesome. And definitely the play pavilion at Epcot was definitely like a blue sky thing. I mean, we also had rumblings of a Mary Poppins attraction coming to the UK pavilion, which never happened. Which, honestly, like I'm mixed on that one. I thought the Mary Poppins attraction would be fun. It would definitely fit into the area because it is, Mary Poppins, but in the UK. But at the same regard, I'm kind of glad we didn't lose the garden back there and that whole area back
Yeah.
there, because that's where they were talking about putting it. So I'm in some regards, I'm kind of glad that we didn't lose that space, because that is a nice area back there. That's kind of tucked away, and with the concerts back there and things like that, it's actually a very fun area.
And see, to
So,
me, Mary Poppins, that's a movie where not much happens. There's no adventure, there's no story that you need a ride to tell. I think their big thing was going to be that whole dancing on the rooftop thing, but
mhm.
that can't be your whole ride. You
Yeah.
can't follow the dad, you can't follow the kids. Where's your story? What warrants a ride. There's no drop. There's no, what do you do? Hey, look,
Yeah,
it's Mary Poppins floating along. Isn't this cute? Boring. And don't tell me Bert dancing around was going to be your big number, because all you're doing is just taking a scene out of
I'm
the
all about that
old
number.
uh, the, the 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 Chinese theater great movie ride. That was a scene. That was not your whole movie. So I don't know if that Mary Poppins ride. I think somebody looked at it and go, you know what? I don't think we have a leg to stand on.
I don't know.
So I got
We
no
could
problems
go, we
losing
could
that.
go on and on about the things that, we don't like at Epcot. As I mean, basically, it's really only World Showplace that we really agree on. That is not the greatest thing in the world. But I mean, as a whole, Epcot is still my favorite park. It
Yep.
is still, I love the festivals. It's a nice way to kind of stroll around the park. I mean, Epcot is my go-to park once it cools down. I will be there all the time, walking around World Showcase, just getting in steps, walking around. I usually go after work and just because I'm right down the street and just keep doing laps. It is like my own like personal gym during when it gets colder, because it is just amazing to walk around, see the concerts going on, uh, you know, have the food booths there if you want to grab something to eat, or just to walk around and people watch and kind of enjoy the area and just enjoy um, being at Epcot because World Showcase at night is absolutely gorgeous. Let's just say this. I mean, the base of Epcot, what we got when we started with Epcot is so unbelievably amazing that it has lasted this long, what, 40 some odd years now. Or what are we at? 40, 50? I don't remember how many years. 80. So I don't know. Someone do the math. But but you know, with this it's the base of Epcot. The base of Epcot. So 43 years for Epcot. So the base of Epcot, we just had the birthday recently. The base of Epcot, I just did the math, is so great that even to this day, after 43 years, it's still an amazing park. I mean, especially World Showcase. I mean, World Showcase has not. I mean, there have been attractions added and things like that, but I would say there hasn't been a major shift other than adding like countries and things like that. Um, there hasn't been a major shift in like World Showcase. It continues to look as amazing as it did so many years ago, and it consistently looks amazing. Future World, on the other hand, it's kind of a mix of attraction, but I still love it. It's still a great area. There's a lot of great attractions over there. Test Track was an amazing addition, amazing upgrade from the World of Motion attraction, Spaceship Earth. Always, how can you not love Spaceship Earth? So there are a lot of things to love at Epcot, and I would say I'm like, me personally, my love for Epcot, like the, I love pretty much everything about Epcot except for like the World Showplace area. That part feels like it kind of just lost its way a little bit, but I'm hopeful for the things that they'll do in the future, and eventually Epcot will get some sort of major update at some point in the future. Hopefully they'll fix a lot of the issues in World Showplace. Maybe add some more stuff to it, kind of fix the lighting that they've
Yeah.
been having issues with on the ground. I know that hasn't been working. It just feels like, especially like in that area, like one of the things that I always think back to, because this involves the lighting, is they're having the issues with the lighting that they're having now with the lighting panels in the ground that surround like the little planter there don't necessarily, I guess they don't surround the planter, they make the Epcot logo in the ground there. They just don't work right. Like they work for like a couple months, people walk all over them, and then they stop working correctly. And they've been trying and trying and trying to fix it, and eventually they just break again. But I always think of those, some of you may remember this, but in front of the old interventions, there was these like little lights in the ground, like in the concrete, like built into the concrete, like little light up patterns inside the concrete itself. I don't know what you call those, like fiber optic lights. um you know uh that were in the ground at Epcot in front of Invention, and those lasted forever. They
Yeah.
never stopped working. They
They were
always
simple,
were
they were
amazing.
cheap, and they were fully functional. They spent a lot of money digging up and putting in those lights without realizing, hey, these things are going to keep breaking. I'm sure most of them are off more than they're on at this point. I don't
Mhm.
think I've ever had a chance to take in that whole design.
Here
So
we go. Let me see
yeah,
if I can get this over so you guys can see what I'm talking about, because this was like one of the most the greatest things ever at Epcot, and it really was like every time you walk past it, like it was cool just to see that in the ground, and it worked so well.
and because they only
But it,
turned it on in the evening, well, obviously because it was the light, it was one
yeah,
of the last things you saw on your way out. And
yeah,
after the long day, you're walking past, going, "Damn, this is cool," and it was simple.
yeah, 100%,
You know,
100%. That's 100% what happened. Everyone thought they were so cool, and they were just mesmerized by them. I can't get
and the
the
best
picture
thing to
loaded.
do when people love something, get rid of it. Because
Yeah,
it was taking up money, I'm sure it was taking up space, I'm sure.
but
Leave
it was
it.
more about the
Where did
space
it
because
go? Why did it go? Didn't need to go.
honestly,
Is it
it
outdated?
wasn't.
Possibly. So with the lights of winter, we lost them too. But just leave them in the ground.
Let's see if I can get this here.
Yep.
Let's
And while
see.
you're looking for that, I'm thinking about when you were saying about Test Track. I'm glad they didn't try to shoehorn in characters to that. Even now
Yeah.
as I'm going through that, the outdoor up the mountain a little bit, I have
Mm-hmm.
visions of Mickey and Minnie in a car screaming about a track switch, and that's thank goodness they didn't do something there, because that's all that is that bit that I think of, going
Yeah.
through the park and the trees. They could have screwed that up and they didn't. And you kept it pure to the original vision.
Yeah.
And then you brought it up on steroids, and I mean, some of it looks like Christmas lights. Okay, fine. But it's really cool in
and
that
here you
last
go
scene
too.
before you go through the outside to light up the whole room like that.
Yeah.
Really awesome.
And they did a really good job. Here's the lights that I'm talking about. These
Yep,
were in the ground for
that's one of
eons,
them.
eons.
Yeah,
And they never, I never walked past that and once saw it not working. That
and I don't even
never
care about the
happened.
pattern. Remember, there were ones that were just dots, and they would
Yeah,
twinkle, and they would change
it just twinkled in the
colors, and
ground, and it looks so
yeah,
cool.
it was great. There were, I think, two or three areas of it, and they were fantastic. And I think they were always on the right side of Spaceship Earth as you were going down. I don't know if they had them on the left
Yeah,
side too. I always exited on the
yeah.
right.
Well, it was right. It was right outside of the left side of CommuniCore,
Uh
where it
huh.
was Interventions. The Interventions was the reason I believe they put it there, but it was right outside of the entrance to like that little section there of CommuniCore
Yep.
on the left hand side, and it was like a little. There was like a couple sections where they had those, and those were amazing. They could have absolutely done something like that again, and I think it still would have looked awesome. They didn't need to do the giant light panels that they did before with that. It could have been, so much different. But it like I said, it is what it is. They're working on it, they're trying to make it better, they're trying to fix it and make it work, but every time they fix it, it just I feel like it's just one of those things they're eventually just gonna give up on, because the only option at this point is to tear it out and almost like start over,
Start over. And
because
I
it
don't think
just
they
keeps
want to admit
breaking.
they messed up. I mean, much better that they
Yeah,
spend money on signs for world nature. That's where your money needs to go.
yeah,
Let's put up brand new signs for areas that nobody even realizes exist.
yeah.
Hey, let's go over to
And the
world
names
nature
for the
so we can
areas
write
too, like
foreign,
World Show
or are you
Place
just
and all
heading to
these
the land?
things, like the World Show Place names and all that stuff. Like it's one of those things where it's like I don't know, like I just don't get like the names and stuff like that. I just don't see it. It doesn't
Brand
resonate with
identity
people.
crisis, 100%.
Yeah, it just doesn't resonate with people, in
Nope.
my opinion. So
Well, I guess we've done a good
I
job tearing down Epcot. All right, good, nice.
well, I mean, but again, like I said, as much as we really only hate the World Show Place and CommuniCore Hall, like
Yeah,
we love the rest of Epcot. Like we're talking about like 10% of Epcot. So
Yep.
please don't don't
Yeah.
take this as us saying I love Epcot with a passion. I don't want to. It's very hard for me to do, but I
I will be
agree
there
with
tomorrow
Michael.
night
We were
if
talking
anyone
about this
listening
before
isn't
the
around.
show. We were
Yeah.
talking about this, and one of the things it said was, is Epcot having an identity crisis, and I do kind of feel like it does because there's so many different themes throughout the years that have been put into Epcot, and it's like you have like 4 or 5 different themes that are fighting with each other, to kind of show you which one is which. And that's where I'm like, okay, this is a little confusing because one area is this, one area is that, one area is this, one area is that, and it's kind of like, you I mean, I guess it's typical because you add in an attraction, and of course that attraction fits that theme for that year or decade or whatever else, and then 5 years down the road it becomes outdated. But you can't update everything at once, is what I'm saying.
Right.
So I mean, I kind of get it, but then at the same time, there's some attractions that have been there for so long. I think there's like a limit as far as like the Figment attraction needs an update. Like I honestly, at this point, like, do something with it or do something different. Like, I mean, it just needs to be. And I get like they use the upstairs space now for the lounge for the DVC, which is nice. But like that's they've got all that extra space in there. They could be doing stuff and clearing that out and put something in there. And they're not doing that. They could make it more a bigger DVC lounge. They did that
Yeah. Don't
amazing
touch my
thing with
DVC lounge.
E82.
You leave that
They
DVC
added
lounge alone.
they added the E82 bar out right on the back of Spaceship Earth, which was an amazing use of that old sponsor lounge that was up
Right.
there. That was an incredible use, and it looks incredible up there. And I will go up there eventually one day. But the whole point is like they have all this stuff going on, and it's like I just feel like they could do a little bit more inside the World Showplace just to fix it up and make it nicer and it just needs a little more pizzazz. I mean, the Walt statue was great, is great. But again, like it's one of those things like when it first came out, everyone was lining up to take pictures with it. And now that it's been there for so long, people don't even give it a second glance, which is kind of sad
There's
to be honest with you.
And what do they do? Hey, let's make a Christmas ornament and a desk statue, and let's market the heck out of this too. So they
Yeah.
turned it into a gift shop without having a gift shop.
Well,
But
there you go.
it's another thing to sell.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's show. We definitely want to thank everyone for joining us this week. As always, follow us on Facebook, Mouse Minds on Facebook. Follow us on, you can find us on Twitch every week and YouTube on the Disney and Beyond channel on YouTube. And I think while I was doing the show, I got us to stream on TikTok too, but
Nice.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think we're streaming on there right now. I think I have to restart the stream
Next week.
for
Next
that to
week.
happen. But we should be streaming on TikTok next week, and if we are, then I'll share the details for
Yeah.
that
And
because
we
I
want
just
to we
linked
want
it
to
to
hear
one
what
of
you
my
all have.
accounts.
What are your thoughts of Epcot? And email us,
Yeah,
mouseminds@gmail.com, I believe.
yeah. Let us
Find
know
us
on
on Facebook.
Facebook. I'll
I
go on
love when
Facebook right now on the Mouse Minds page and put that question out there. You let us know, guys.
folks like Joe
What are
and
your
Michaeline and her Facebook group when they interact with us every week. I appreciate the share on the Airfluence group on Facebook.
Oh yeah,
Let's
there you
build some
go.
relationships with everyone. If you're sharing, let us know. And if there's a topic you want to hear, we're always looking for topics. Let us know. And if you want a guest on the show, come to us with a topic and we'll have you on. I'm talking with somebody now about that very same thing. So if there's something you're passionate about and you want to come on and chat for an hour, we'd love to have you on. So email us, find us on
Yeah, of
Facebook,
course.
reach out. We're always looking for guests, always looking for topics. The topics sometimes are the hardest things. Next thing you know,
That
you're
is
bashing
true.
Epcot for an hour because you couldn't think of something better. But this turned out to be an awesome discussion. So
Well,
it's
then
great.
let's be fair. We were having a discussion about it, and then it turned into. It wasn't like it was the only thing. We
No,
had
of
we had a
course not.
couple of different topics,
Yeah, it
but
was good.
we.
We're good. We're good. It's just being, something every week, which is not, the easiest thing, but there are things we don't think of. And again, if there's something you're passionate
Of
about, I
course,
really love this or that, find us. I will be in Epcot tomorrow. Come find me. Hey, can I get on the show? Absolutely. Just,
there you
have
go.
something to talk about. And I'll be walking through Epcot just to get some steps, like you said, Robert. It's hopefully the weather
That's what I'm
holds up
talking about.
and
That's
just
what
get
it.
in there, do a lap or two and leave. Sometimes I don't ride anything. Buy some popcorn, go home.
that is exactly what it is good for, is doing that. So it is nice that we live so close that we have the privilege to be able to do that, because it is a nice perk of living
Yep.
here, being just able to pop into Epcot and walk around. But I think that's gonna do it for this week's show. As always, you can find us on your favorite streaming platform, and of course your favorite podcasting platform, Twitch. Apparently next week we'll be streaming on TikTok, and then we have you on YouTube, on the Disney and Beyond YouTube channel. So make sure to follow us on all those places, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and find us on your favorite podcasting platform. Yeah, all right, guys. Well, that's gonna do it for this week's show. It's been fun chatting with you guys. As I always say, if you can dream it, you can do it. And go check our Facebook page, because I did actually post that question on
Nice.
Facebook, so you can see that on there and see and reply with your favorite memories of Epcot and what your thoughts are on the current state of Epcot. So go on there and interact with us. We love interacting with all of our fans. And I think we will see you guys next week, unless there's anything else you had to say, Michael.
No, hopefully Luella comes on. We may look at guiding some first timers on their visit to Disneyland and Walt Disney World. So if that topic's on there, again, something to look forward to. Come in with your suggestions. Join us next
Mhm.
week.
All right. Well, we definitely thank you guys for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking with you. And if there's nothing else, I will say